Hello, welcome to this educational video. If you look at the diseases that affect the central nervous system, there is a group of diseases which are called as age associated diseases of the central nervous system. Most of these diseases are called as neurodegenerative diseases. During the aging process, it so happens certain portions of the brain gets degenerated, gets damaged, because of which there is various clinical symptoms that are manifested. One among the most common neurodegenerative disease is Parkinson's disease. People who are working in the field of Parkinson's, they may be clinicians or scientists, they have found through research for the past several decades that the main reason for the symptoms appearing in Parkinson's is because of loss of a certain set of neurons called as dopaminergic neurons. Because of the loss of these neurons, there is a significant loss of the neurotransmitter dopamine in the brain of the patients. This leads to most of the symptoms that the patients exhibit. So, the movement problems seen in the patients with Parkinson's is directly related to the loss of these dopaminergic neurons and also because of the loss of dopamine content in the brain. So, how do we treat such patients? How do we make sure that these neurons are safe? How do you make sure that the dopamine content is actually maintained in the brain? So, this is a common question asked by most of the people. They might be patients, they might be caregivers. Let us pose this question to our expert, Dr. Ravi Yadav, who is working as Professor of Neurology and an expert in the field of movement disorders and Parkinson's disease. Namaste, Doctor, and welcome to this program. So, in broad terms, if I may pose the question, so what are the ways in which you can treat a patient who has Parkinson's? That means, how do you take care of brain damage and loss of dopamine in the patients?
So, the three ways we approach a patient to treat Parkinson's disease. One is the non-pharmacological treatment, where non-pharmacological means that we are not giving any tablet or injection or any operation, but general changes in the lifestyle.
Okay.
So that we can discuss later if you want.
Yeah.
Second is by means of tablets
Okay.
and injections,
Okay.
which can be given.
Okay.
So among the different tablets, you have to understand in such a way that, like for example, when a person, since dopamine deficiency in the brain
Correct.
is the core symptom, most
Correct.
important.
Correct.
So we treat that by replenishing dopamine. We have to give dopamine from outside.
Okay.
Now to understand that, the biggest challenge which was overcome around 1960s
Okay.
by David Carlson, who received the Nobel Prize for this discovery,
Okay.
was to give oral formulation of levodopa.
Dopamine. So you have to basically give dopamine to the person, so the dopamine goes through the blood to the brain.
Yeah, it goes to the intestine. There the challenge was to have adequate absorption so that it reaches the brain.
Reaches the brain. Okay.
So there is another chemical known as carbidopa, which is there, which it promotes the entry to the brain so that it does not get metabolized or utilized in the other tissues.
You are making the dopamine safe by giving
another drug.
So it carries that dopa and
it inhibits the enzyme which can degrade that in the periphery. Dopa decarboxylase.
Okay. So basically, the main thing is the levodopa. That is the L-dopa, which is the one that will get converted to dopamine in the brain.
Yeah.
And that will be supported or protected by this carbidopa when it travels through the blood. So
through the intestine.
And through the blood, so that it is not damaged or it doesn't get broken. Okay. So it goes into the brain. Okay. That's the main.
Then there it does all the effects. So this around 15 to 20 minutes it takes.
Okay.
And the precautions we ask the patient to take is to take the tablet empty stomach, preferably.
Okay.
Before meals, half an hour, 45 minutes before meals, the absorption is better.
Okay.
Because the protein content in the food inhibits the absorption. So effect will not be good with that.
Okay.
So first and foremost is to give what is not there in the brain. Like if in diabetes, insulin is given.
Insulin given. So like that you are giving, you are
Dopamine.
making sure that dopamine content in the brain is maintained. Okay. Okay.
Then there are other medications which act on the brain receptors
Okay.
to do the same job, but through a different chemical
Okay,
way.
okay.
So they are known as dopamine agonists. There are
Okay.
D2, D3 receptors. Those are newer drugs. Then there are many other drugs which have come. Amantadine is there.
Okay.
And older drugs there is trihexyphenidyl which is available, but they have to be chosen carefully in a, for example, young patient, older patients,
Okay. Okay.
those who tolerate the medicine versus those who do not tolerate certain good.
Okay.
They have their own side effects, some of them. So amantadine, for example, can cause some swelling in the legs. So heart patients should not be given that. So expert will choose which drug is suitable for which patient.
Okay.
But overall, broadly, L-dopa carbidopa combination, that is the safest.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Then younger patients, but there is a general tendency which has developed over the years to delay the levodopa carbidopa. So people think that it is toxic, levodopa carbidopa combination, which is available as Cinemet in other countries. In our country, Sindopa and other brands are also available.
Okay.
So then what happens is the people tend to delay that, and in that process they may suffer a lot. So they should seek appropriate clinic consultation, and then rather than fear of levodopa, it is not right, and suffer.
But
because of
this
that.
this has to be taken for quite some time, right? You have
It
to
has,
take
yes, it has to be continued till there are actually initially with a single drug or two drugs the control is good. Then polypharmacy, that is multiple other drugs may be needed to titrate. The effect may wear off.
Okay.
So the purpose is to maintain a steady level
Okay.
so that overall movements become normal, almost normal.
So if a person takes this levodopa carbidopa combination, so within a short period of time he will have control over his movement. Is it like
Yes. So we can divide it into the initial good phase, that is where for few years the effect is very good.
that? Very good. Okay.
Then over time, since the dopamine is dropping in the brain,
Okay.
the amount of dose has to be increased.
Whatever you do, it's still coming down. You are
Yes.
pushing more and more.
We are not still changing the disease process. We are not stopping that. These medicines are replenishing dopamine. So the dose goes on increasing.
That means whatever this dopamine is doing, it is only providing relief to the symptoms, but the neurons are still dying.
Yes.
Okay, that's
So-
why you have to keep on increasing the dose. Okay.
Yes. So these are not disease modifying agents.
Okay.
These are like a symptomatic treatment.
Symptomatic. Okay.
And so other drugs which are being developed, like MAO-B inhibitors, there is one, there are drugs, salicyline, rasagiline.
Okay.
They were initially thought that they are neuroprotective, but now people say it very mild neuroprotective action. But then there are other drugs, newer drugs are there, but again they do not have what do you call disease modifying activity.
Okay.
So then comes the injections which are available in advanced stages when the drug action lasts for only 1 hour or half an hour. Then we go for injections, or there is a pump which is placed in the jejunum, that
Jejunum
is
is the
in the intestine.
intestine. Okay.
So it delivers constantly
releases-
levodopa carbidopa infusion gel.
Okay.
So that can be given.
Okay.
And then so injection apomorphine is available, and apomorphine pump is there which can give a constant dopaminergic effect. but they are invasive. Injections are there.
Correct,
Small
correct.
surgery is required in one of them, and then deep brain stimulation.
Okay, okay.
That is a with the help of neurosurgeons and a complete team. There is a protocol which is to be followed. Initially pre-surgical, then protocol is there. Who are the best patients who will benefit from that? Who are the patients who do not have any contraindications? So all that evaluation is done. How much response would come after surgery? So a team would assess that and then recommend whether the patient is suitable for DBS or not.
Well, let me understand in a lot of information actually. So if you are starting off, the best is the levodopa carbidopa combination, where for a couple of years the patient will respond very well. So there is movement immediately under control once you take the tablet, but slowly that response to the drug goes down. So it goes down to such an extent that the effect you will see only for 1 hour of
It will slowly, for example, initially in some patients, for example, initially 6 hours, then 5 hours, 4 hours, it may drop to variable.
So that the effects are seen only for 1 hour, again the symptoms will come back.
Yes, so they have to go on taking medicines,
That's
multiple
when
tablets.
You have to take multiple tablets and also other drugs like you told, or there's a probability of having injections or a pump that is.
So then the therapies, which are all these therapies I told you, advanced therapies are for providing continuous dopaminergic stimulation.
Okay.
So actually in the natural process in the body, the dopamine is constantly there.
Correct.
By tablet we are giving us tablet, the spike of dopamine comes, then goes down, then goes down, up and down. So this pattern comes which is not natural. So by these other therapies, it is sustained. For example, pump, subcutaneous, it is released. So many of these effects are avoided. Dyskinesia and other problems which can happen. And same with DBS. But obviously they are invasive therapies. And the last option when the medications do not work.
Okay, but you are talking about some abnormal side effects, like if there is sudden increase in dopamine, so that will immediately, I mean, will the patients have opposite effect? That means
increased movements happen, hyperkinesia, dyskinesia happen.
That also happens?
That can happen later in the early part of the, and then they may become disabling. Then initially adjustment of the doses is done, and then can be recommended for other options.
And you are talking about surgery, and also what I understand from what you said is that surgery is not for everyone with Parkinson's. So there is a particular rule that you follow. I mean steps that you follow to ensure that the surgery is an option for somebody. And what do you do in the surgery?
Surgeons will be surgeons, what they do usually, because we are neurologists, we are there in the operation theatre, but we assess during peroperative period. Basically there is an area of the brain known as subthalamic nucleus.
Subthalamic nucleus,
yes. So if we stimulate that area, the symptoms on the other side half of the body, for example, if we stimulate the right side, the left half of the body should subside. Rigidity, that stiffness in the body on that side because of Parkinson's, tremor, then dyskinesia, which are related to the, and then so these symptoms subside on the other side.
So when you say stimulating, that means a
small amount of current is given in that area.
There is electrical stimulation in the brain. That means you're putting some
electrodes are placed.
So you go through the skull. Through the skull. That means you make a hole, go through the skull and into the brain.
Yes.
And you release there is some mild electrical.
The small electrodes are placed by the neurosurgeon. They make a burr hole. This is awake surgery. So patient is awake throughout the procedure. He is cooperative also. And then once this is done, on both sides, then we see the movements. So if it is accurately placed, the symptoms significantly come down.
So you will be there. Suppose the person is not able to move and you put that and you try to stimulate that electrically, then you can see that symptoms subsiding.
Yeah.
And in most cases, this is successful, is it?
See, it depends on many aspects, but if the choice of the patient is good preoperatively,
Okay.
and there are no other contraindications, the site, the accuracy of the placement of the need,
Okay, okay.
and if there are no complications, so then the results are relative. It will be to broadly understand what will be the percentage of improvement is we judge by having the best levodopa response preoperatively. For example, best response of levodopa tablet, if we give 2 tablets or full dose of levodopa and see the best response.
Okay,
In the off state and on. Off state is one when their medicine is not acting.
Okay.
On state is one when the tablet is acting at the best.
Okay, okay.
So, for example, there is 80% improvement in that. So, we presume that, so we can predict that deep brain stimulation of STN also will give you the best response to the maximum of the whatever tablet gave.
But once you have the deep brain stimulation, there is no need for tablet, is it?
No, it is not like that.
Still you have to
Tablet will be there, but the dose will drop by almost 1/3 to half.
But that means the electrode should be there in the brain of the person throughout, is it?
Like a pacemaker of the heart, people are more used to. Like in the heart, to maintain the heart rhythm, pacemaker is placed in the subcutaneous area below the bone.
Below the skin, you just put it, and that will carry the electrical current through the wire to the brain. And but with that the person can lead an regular life. Okay.
So they have to be cautious about certain things, about high magnetic fields and all.
Okay.
But some precautions are needed.
That means when we begin in the early stages, it is the dopamine replenishing drugs.
Agents.
Then you have other drugs which will help in cases where the dopamine and boosting like levodopa did not work properly. So only at the particular stage where these things have failed significantly, the patients become resistant, then you go for deep brain stimulation.
So in the initial many years, if the patients are able to manage with non-pharmacological measures like exercise, diet and other things, so even a single levodopa, carbidopa is not required.
Okay.
So they can few years only on single drug like rasageline or dopa agonist in the young early stage can be given, or YOPD also early. Levodopa can be given later.
I think that means the patient has to be constantly monitored just to make sure every visit you have to make sure what are the level of symptoms and keep on changing, altering. And
education of the patient and the caregiver is very important. So once they know many of these things, they would manage many of the things like timing of the medicine and when to do exercise, what all precautions to take while going or traveling.
Correct.
So those are patient and caregiver education is very important. Patient would know that okay, I will become off at this time of the day, the effect will go down. So he will tailor the medications along accordingly.
Immediately take the medication, and so that you know.
So socializing, going to parties or going to any friends and all restaurants. So he can tailor down. And morning, for example, 7 to 8. His bathing, brush, toilet, all that he has to get ready. So he can the timing and all can be adjusted by that.
So you have a lot of information. Maybe if you can summarize in a couple of sentences about what are the do's and don'ts about taking medication for Parkinson's.
So broadly to say that there are many options which are available, and the choice of the correct dose medication will be decided by the clinician based on the age of the patient, based on the main problem. Tremor is more problematic, or stiffness, dystonia. So the lot of medicines are available, but the best suitable one which is for the patient will be carefully chosen by the neurologist based on broad assessment of all the factors.
So self-medication is not the thing. Every stage you have to consult the neurologist, an expert like you.
It is like once the relatives and patient himself understands, then we give significant amount of freedom for themselves, so that they can titrate the medications according to their own requirement.
Okay, okay.
But some initial education is
Is
needed.
required
Yes.
for
Then
them, so
they
that they are
can
trained to take care of them. Okay. Thank you, doctor. Thank you for actually simplifying such a complicated phenomenon with so many different combinations of drugs, side effects, and also the possibility of having surgery as a treatment for Parkinson's. Thank you, doctor.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaskar.